Hi, this is Gary from MoreThanASnapshot.com. I mostly make videos about photography and image editing software, so if that's something you're into, you should subscribe to my channel and ring the little bell icon so you can be notified the next time I upload a video. In today's video, I want to talk about photographers and whether or not they need to use drawing tablets to edit their photos. I personally have been using drawing tablets to edit my photos since the mid-2000s. And I'll show you what I started with. Of course, I started with a Wacom tablet, this one right here. And you can see it's quite large. Back then, whoever advised me on it told me that, oh, you need a big one and one with all kinds of little buttons so that you can do custom functions when you're working in Photoshop. And yes, this is a big, heavy, nice tablet. And you know what? It still works today with one little problem. The drivers from Wacom don't seem to be updated, and so it'll do some basic things, but it just won't do everything that it's supposed to do, just because it's kind of out of date, and Wacom expects you to update by now. Now, of course, Wacom is the leader in the industry, and they make some really great tablets. The one downside with going with them is that their tablets are quite expensive. So a few years down the road, I decided to try a smaller, lighter version. So I got something like this, which of course is still a Wacom, and it has a few custom function buttons, but it's very simple and very small. This one I didn't have quite as good luck with. It worked fine for a short time, and I'd say after a couple of years it kind of died out. So even though I paid maybe $70 or so for this one at the time, it wasn't the greatest. So then I moved on. I recently, a few weeks ago, purchased this tablet, and it is a cheap Chinese knockoff of a Wacom tablet, an older Wacom design. You can see here that it holds the pen on the side. I got it. And it's got a nice scroll wheel which you can set to do different things. And it's got 10 function buttons on the side. And you can assign these function buttons differently for each program that you work in. So you can say, this button might do one thing in Photoshop and it might do something totally different in Lightroom. So that's pretty cool. Again, this Wacom tablet would probably have been very expensive, a few $100s at least. And I got this on Amazon for about $70, and I'll put a link in the description if this is something that you might be interested in. So I guess this brings us back to the question, does a photographer really need to have a tablet? I kind of got it because I wanted to do some drawing in Photoshop more than what I wanted to do with photography with it, but of course I will use it on my photos. You want to think about, how are you editing now? If all you ever do is work in Lightroom and push some sliders around, then you don't need a tablet. The reason you want to have a tablet is because that pen control is going to give you much finer control over where you're working on your picture and using pen pressure to paint over your picture. If you're the kind of photographer that likes to take your photos into Photoshop and maybe clone some things out, maybe dodge and burn, and do all of these kinds of things where you would benefit from having the control of a pen and that pen pressure, then yes, a tablet is right for you. Now, I also don't think you need to go real high-end. You can get real fancy nowadays with some that actually have a monitor and you're drawing right on the picture. That is pretty cool, and if that's something you're into, certainly give it a try. But I think you could get away with a very basic tablet and do very well. Even though all the tablets that I've had, I've never had to use very many of the advanced buttons. I've never done that many things that were that advanced with my tablet. And I've seen other photographers online talk about working with their tablets and they seem to have similar experiences where you just don't need to have a high-end tablet for most of what a photographer will do. If you happen to be a photographer that shoots a lot of portraits or models or anything like that, that's where a tablet, I think, really probably has a lot of uses, because you're constantly retouching skin, and that gives you a lot of the fine detail you might need to do that. Please comment down below whether you use a tablet or not, and whether you think it's necessary. And if so, what tablet do you use, and any tips that you might have for everyone else. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you want to know more about using tablets in your workflow, and if you want to be able to get some free brushes, why don't you join my membership group, which is called the Snapshot Membership. You'll find the link down in the description, and you'll get more information and some free brushes so you can try it out for yourself. So we'll see you next time. This has been Gary from morethanasnapshot.com.